What's up, guys? Josh the Grinder here. So, as you guys saw last night, it was quite a rough session, and I'm here at Resorts World now with my coach, Coach Aero Poker. Check him out. He graciously took me on as his apprentice, so I'm doing like a poker apprenticeship with him basically, and we're documenting the journey. As you guys know, I'm an unprofitable player, and I'm just trying to become a profitable one. So, if you want to just say hi.
Hey guys, we're here with Josh. He just went on recently on an absolute tear after our first few coaching lessons. He went 6-0, six wins without a single loss just from a few lessons. But the thing is a lot of that is also attributed to run good, because you can't just take a few lessons, absorb it, and just go maniac mode. That you're gonna have some run good there, and there's no way that any normal person just takes in lessons and just perfectly analyzes and utilizes it. So, a lot of the times you're going to go back to some of your old ways unconsciously, especially if you think you're running invincible as well. So you're going to think you're impossible to beat. Okay, I've got some lessons from Aero. He crushed this, and hopefully I'm like, wow, I'm doing the same. This is amazing. So tell us about last night, because last night you deviated from a lot of my lessons, and you went back to some of your old techniques. Tell me what happened.
Yep. So I was playing 1-3 at the win, bought in for 500. The session actually started out pretty well. You were sitting there for some of the hands, and I felt like overall, I was making the right plays. It was honestly quite boring. Went up $100, just playing tight, playing right, in position, getting value when I need to, and I was like $100 in profit like an hour in, and then I basically lost a hand where I had pocket jacks and someone flopped trips on me. So it was just one of those like short stack suckouts. But the really deciding hand of this whole session, I would say, was probably 2 to 2.5 hours into the session. At that point, I was actually up like I was up like 200. My stack was around 700. This is the hand of the session that really just collapsed me. I would say like the definition of tilt is on steroids basically. So it was 5-handed. I had under the gun, looked down at king of spades, king of clubs, so pocket kings. And I don't know why I just decided to limp, mainly because there's this fishy guy and I wanted to get tricky and try to like get him in the pot, which, you guys will see he did get in the pot. So everyone ends up limping, 5 ways to the flop. So pot's $15. Flop comes 8-6-2, 8 of spades, 6 of spades, 2 of clubs. So I check, and then the guy to my left bets $10, and then everyone calls and it's back on me. So here I kind of like think about the bet sizing. And I think, for whatever reason, 65 seemed big enough at the time, so I just check raised to $65. And then the fishy, like, loose guy calls. And then the turn is a 9 of hearts, so now it's 8-6-2-9. Here I just check, and it goes check, check. And then the river is a 10 of spades, so flush draw gets there, it's like straight draw, there's like pretty much a 4-liner. So I check, and then he bets $100. And I just flick in the chip and call it, and he ends up showing 6-10 offsuit, so I lost the 2 pair on the river there.
Okay, so for this hand, limping is not terrible.
Okay.
I do that sometimes. You should only do this on tables that are aggro, not your normal average 1-3 table that doesn't raise much. It is a technique to protect your hand based upon your stack size. Like, you can check raise a much bigger proponent than if you were to just do a regular raise and give someone odds to set mine. But it only should be used in a table that is very aggressive. Like 90% of the time there's gonna be a pre-flop raise. Some tables I go on, there's a pre-flop raise every time for hours, and those are perfect to limp raise. Or if there's a lot of 3-betting go on, instead of limping, you actually could raise small. They'll 3-bet for you. They'll do the work for you, and then you can 4-bet huge.
Right.
But on a normal 1-3 table where there's not a lot, like your classic normal 1-3 table doesn't raise very much, and people just want to see flops. They want to win jackpots, even on the strip. Their most casinos don't have a jackpot. That's just how most people play. They limp really bad hands, 10-4 suited, and similar hands. So I wouldn't say that's bad. I mean, that's okay. The 65 in a 5-handed situation from 10 is also not bad. That's an appropriate amount. If it's in a full table and everyone called, yeah, you got to pump that up, huge. But 5-handed 65 is appropriate. Your mistake, I would say, happened on the turn. Why would you randomly check there? You gained 0 information. Let's say he only has an 8 and he thinks you're on a draw. He's going to bet for what he thinks is value, And if he hits 2 pairs or trips or whatever, you don't know what he has.
Right.
Or he can have 5-7, and that 9 actually gave him the nut straight.
Right.
You don't know. If you were to, you already check raised the flop. You can't go from check raising to check because normally what that symbolizes is you're on the draw yourself. So like someone has a flush draw or whatnot. You check raise because you want everyone out with fold equity because you actually have the draw. But if you have a big hand like you did, kings, you need to gain information. If you do another similar, 70, 80% or even higher pot bet, you will find out exactly where you stand. Let's say, okay, so he called 165, that makes it 130 plus the other 3 limpers. That's 160. So you can bet for here like 160, you can do 120, roughly around there. If he raises you, you're done. He's got either 8-9, which is top 2 pair, or 5-7, and he turned the nuts. Because when you bet that large, you're symbolizing you have a big hand, and you do. So he's going to try to max value, especially 1-3 players. They are pretty straightforward. Rarely will they ever trap with the nuts there. They're going to go, oh my gosh, the pot is so big. You're betting 120. I'm going to get you in here. And even I will do that because this is the way that you symbolize the hand. I would not put you on kings. I put you on a set. And so you have outs even if I turn the nuts. And I want you to go in bad right here, right now. So you're not going to leave it anywhere. You're either going to call or you're going to shove in yourself. Especially with the stack sizes of 1-3, we're going to get it in right now. So if you bet appropriately on the turn, like 120, 130, 140, if he has a better hand, you'll find out right away. And if he doesn't, this is where he's going to let it go. See that 7-10, I mean, sure, a donkey could call with third pair and a gut shot. And if you happen to lose that, you can check fold the river. But that's on his mistake, not on yours. If ever you lose, make sure that it's on their mistake, calling bad. Because every hand you have to like play it 10 times. If we do this 10 times or more, am I going to come out a winner or a loser? You can't evaluate, what happens after one hand, and should I play differently based on that one hand? You should always, it's like the casino when they play. There's always going to be the people that go, woo, woo, oh my gosh, I went to Vegas, I made $1,000, or they want a jackpot, but the casino wins over time. Every time. That's what they're there for. It's about the law of large numbers. How are you going to fare over time? The casino, on the majority of casino hands, they have a 10% edge. If you play appropriately, you should also have an edge on the hands that you play. So that when they make a mistake, they can get you this one time, but the other 8 times, you're going to win. So make sure that it's their mistake putting in the money bad as opposed to your mistake, because there's no reason to check again there. The only time I would check again there is I'm on the draw and I actually hit the nuts and I'm trying to make him make a mistake. So I would double check raise if I have an absolute monster.
Okay. So otherwise only you really check when you make the hand, basically.
No, not check. But I'm talking about a double check raise. If you have an absolutely unbeatable monster,
then it's like you want him to catch up.
Yes, like if I flop top set rainbow, or something middle. Let's say top set's too strong. Middle set rainbow, and I check raise the flop. I may check again if the turn makes no difference whatsoever. The turn or the turn pairs bottom pair or something where I have no fear whatsoever. I'll make him think I'm on some sort of draw. Let's say I flop 2 spades and I have middle set and the turn paired bottom pair, so now I have middle boat, right? I may check raise again the turn because he thinks, oh, he just check raised the flop and now he checked again. He's on the draw, so he'll lead out for to deny you equity. Instead, you have the monster. Other than that, there's almost no reason to ever double check. I mean, you've already check raised the flop. You already said I have a big hand, then you suddenly check. That symbolizes weakness, and you gain no information. Okay, so go on.
Okay, no, appreciate that. Yeah, so I think, to be honest, after this hand, what I should have done, because today I spent the whole day, or not the whole day, but I spent some part of the day watching videos on how to deal with tilt and just the mental side of things. I should have just got up and walked around, I think, because I just kept replaying this hand in my head, kind of berating myself mentally, like that was such a bad play. And I even asked the guy, oh, if I bombed the turn, would you have called? He said no. So yeah, I don't know. This guy, I just thought was a fish. And then I feel like sometimes for me, when I think someone's bad, I just always think he never has it and he's just bluffing. And this guy got a lot of my money throughout the whole session. A different hand he had later.
Hold on, let's pause right there for a moment. You are thinking about other people as being fish and as being bad. You're forgetting that right now at this point you are one of the biggest fish on the table with your record, that you are also one of the fish. Don't target other quote unquote fish at this point. Work on improving the basics of your game, your foundation, so that you can better handle other players. Right now you're not at the point where you can target fish.
Yeah, no, I think probably because I had 6 winning sessions in a row.
I told you. Yes, that feeling of invincibility. I was telling you, you're going to ride a high. And
I just bought like Ray-Bans where you can like record. So I was feeling, put the sunglasses on. I thought I was like WSOP, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it was a good learning lesson because I shouldn't really classify other people as fish and just try to target them because I'm not at that level where
Exactly.
I can do that. Since honestly, if I just focus on like the fundamentals and how you taught me to play, this would have been a winning session, like a pretty big one.
Yeah, because I mean, for most amateurs out there, I told you, you just need, you don't need to get tricky. You don't need to do any of the crazy things you see other pros do, or that you'll even see on my vlog later on, because you're playing at the lowest levels. The 1-2 and the 1-3 levels are the absolute low. All you need to win the majority of your sessions, better range of hands, appropriate bet sizing, and also denying this tilt factor, which we mentioned before. I told you, like, if you ever have a bad losing hand, walk it off. Do whatever it is you play, diddle on your phone, watch some inappropriate porn.
On the table with the sound on.
Just get your head out of the gutter. And also, the 2 buy-ins is something even I do myself after 16 years as a professional, because I know that if I have lost 2, that's for me. And if I have lost too much in a row, I'm not playing my best. Some people, there's going to be pros that don't have that problem, but I know that I do, and I know that a lot of regular people do. So it's something you can consider, because this loss of yours went over that. You went over the your hourly limit of play. Also went over how many buy-ins.
Yeah.
And because you wanted to target this fish who ended up taking your money.
He made me the fish.
Yeah.
And I think another reason that I ended up going over was because the day before was my South Point session that was, extremely swingy. Like we can cover the hand. Let's just cover the hand that I got fucked on basically. I had just, this is my first time in South Point this year. Sat down at the 2-3. I went to go to the bathroom, came back. Was feeling good. I saw like a seat was open, so I seat changed from like the middle seat to like one of the corner ones. First hand I get dealt in pocket tens, so under the gun +1 raises $25. I just flat here since I don't really know any information about
What's
anyone.
your position?
I'm to the left of this guy, under the gun +2.
Oh, that's middle position, yeah.
MP, okay, middle position. Got in my very left calls as well, and then the button makes it 125, so he 3-bets. And at this point, I had literally just sat down first hand. I was still like trying to like open my poker tracker app, so we all ended up flatting. So it's like a huge pot already. $500 pot going to the flop. Four-handed, and South Point 2-3 is $600 buy-in, so I had $600. Flop comes 10 Jack 8, 2 hearts, so I flop middle set here, and I just like check. It just checks all the way around. And then I was planning on check raising, but no one bet. So then the turn comes the Queen of Hearts. So the flush gets there, and then it's like a super wet board. So here the first guy checks, and then I think for like a good 60 seconds, for whatever reason in my mind, I was not thinking about anything except for get more money in the pot, have set, and then I was thinking like what sizing. This is like so awkward because it's like $500. I have like 475 behind. So I just bet 250, planning to get it in on the river, and the original raiser shoved instantly. It was an insta shove, right, on my bet, and like I had to call there, and then he drilled the turn. He had ace king offsuit, so river was a brick, and then that was just the first hand of the session.
When you contacted me about this hand on that turn, I already told you, I didn't even think about the 9 or who won. I already said you just lost to ace king, didn't you? You didn't even tell me what he had. I already knew you lost to ace king because it got checked around, and then the queen hit. That's ace king. Here, the problem is in this hand is that the pot is already massive. It's 500.
Okay.
Your remaining stack is less than a pot-sized bet. There's zero reason to get tricky because that board. We're not talking about 10-8 rainbow. This is something I talk about quite a bit on my vlog. When the board is too wet, you can't play the same as if it's top or middle set rainbow unconnected. This is 8-10 jack. There is 2 different straight draws. I mean, anyone holding a 9 or a queen there can get a free gut shot. against you if they hit a 9 or a queen. And also, you know, ace king obviously had a gut shot
and
as well.
the flush also was there too.
Flush was there as well. If the original raiser has any kind of overpair, he's going to pay you off when you jam here because it's just a pot-sized bet.
Right.
So, you know, he's going to get it in anyways. What is the point of checking to him, have him jam, and then you call? That doesn't make any sense. It's not like you are in any position to get any people trapped between you guys because he's the button. He's going to be one of the first. If everyone checks him, he's going to be the first to bet anyways. The only person you have is the one person between you or something, and you only have a pot-sized bet. The only time I was gonna say the only time I would ever check raise there, but no, I'm never check raising there. Even if I'm super deep, I'm just gonna lead out. Well, one, you have a pot-sized bet, but let's say you were deeper. Let's say you have 1,500 behind. I'm also gonna lead out to see what if he has an overpair. If he wants to get it in, make him make the mistake. Remember, you never want to be the one making the mistake.
Yeah.
If you okay, the pot's 500. If you lead out, let's say 275, slightly over half pot. Appropriate enough bet. That's the kind of bet that maybe an ace jack would do, or even a jack queen who has top pair, you know, jack queen suited, top pair, gut shot type draw. They want to see where he's at. If the original raiser and you guys are super deep, you know, he sees that bet. He's rarely going to just call it there. He's going to, you know, raise to find out where he's at. This is a game of information. It's like chess.
Are you talking about the flop or the turn?
The flop. I'm talking about the very flop. I'm talking about if he has an overpair, he needs to find out where he's at.
Yeah.
He can't just smooth call you on a flop that way.
Yeah.
He's going to, especially at a 1-3, they don't have that skill set.
Yeah.
They're going to, they might over jam. They overplay hands all the time.
Right.
This is where you capitalize on people with overpairs. They're going to overplay their hand. They're going to jam. Or even if he makes a small raise, like let's say you lead with 275 and he just min raises you 550. Oh, well, now you don't have much behind. I'm saying if you guys were super deep, you get it down, he's still pot committed. There is almost no downside to just leading. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in your case, you're not even deep. You're just you only have one bet, and it's smaller than the size of the pot. Just stick it in right then and there.
Okay.
If he has an overpair, he's going to pay you.
Yeah.
If he has a hand like he has, you know,
probably gonna fold.
he's going to fold. You're going to take down the pot instead of losing your first 600. Not just losing 600, but losing all the money in the middle as well. The extra, you know, the 500 plus your 475.
Yeah. If I just took it down right there on the flop, I would have been up 3, you know, like almost $400 just in one hand. But instead, I was out 600, right?
Okay, but on top of that, then you make mistake number 2. Everyone checks around.
Yes.
That you should immediately know he has ace king. What's he going to check with on that flop? And no overpair checks there. He has ace king. Exactly. The worst case scenario is he's going to have ace queen, but the best case scenario, but that doesn't make sense for the bet sizing. And even then, ace queen is double gut shot on you. He's gonna probably try to take it down with his equity as well. He's got 2 different gut shots. He needs a king, or he needs a 9.
Yeah.
So I think he needs a 9. I don't have the board. Let's see, the 10.
10
Jack 8, yes,
Jack
9 and king.
Nine.
He has 2 overs and an open end. He's gonna rip it there, even with ace queen. So
ace king.
I'm saying no, even with ace queen.
Even with ace queen.
Yeah, which is the best case scenario. Like, you know, either way, both the hands that he most likely has there. On the turn, it makes no sense to bet because even a naked 9, pocket 9s has a straight. Even a naked 9 crushes you.
Yeah.
You know, 9-10 suited, 8-9 suited, they both make a straight.
Yeah.
So leading on the turn makes even worse sense than checking the flop.
Right.
And on the top of that, now a flush crushes your hopes and dreams as well.
Yeah.
So checking the flop was bad. Leading the turn is even worse.
Even worse. Okay. And to be honest, like I like this might be an excuse, but I had just sat down. I feel like it was like new casino. I wasn't used to like the chips. I was like a little frazzled, and I felt like my mind just went blank during this hand. Like, I almost like considered fold. Like I was never gonna fold. I don't think pre-flop, but like I didn't feel good about it. And then I should have been thinking like, okay, what do my opponents have when I was on the flop? But instead, I just checked really quickly and got nervous and like didn't think. So. Because it was just like such a big pot. Like this is like the biggest pot I played up until, it was like basically the biggest pot I've played like this since we started coaching basically.
A common, very, very common mistake that most amateur players and even some, lower end professionals make is they are too focused on their hand. It has to do with hand marriage. This is what I have. Oh, I have such a good hand. Instead, focus on what your opponents have. What is he doing this raise with? What could he have on this flop? What will he do if I jam here? Always assess these thoughts in your head, just like a chess player, how they plan out moves ahead of time. You can plan poker moves ahead of time.
Okay.
Like there's the hand in one of my vlogs recently where I showcase how I jammed with 6 high, 5-6 of hearts.
Yeah.
Because on the flop, I had already planned out what my opponent was going to do. When I made a tiny raise, I knew he's going to call there with his entire range of hands, just about. And I already knew I'm jamming the turn almost regardless. And if I hit, I actually slow down. But I mean, I actually would value bet instead of jamming. I would make a much smaller raise. You know, especially hit the 4, I'd be like sitting there with the absolute nuts.
Yeah.
But I already have it planned out a couple moves ahead,
Right.
based on what my opponent might have.
Right.
And you need to do the same. You should always wonder, you know, like range of hands. What is my opponent doing? He can have one of a few sort of hands when he makes it 125 pre-flop. Either he's going to have a massive overpair, or he's going to have an ace king, ace queen suited type of hand. Those are the only. I mean, he's not going to be sitting there with pocket sevens, pocket. You know, any that doesn't make sense. 6, 7 suited, 10 jack suited. That doesn't make sense for the amount for the raise amount based upon his stack size in a 1-3, right? $125. He'd have to be a complete maniac.
Yeah.
So, you know, you never, like I say, don't think about what's possible, think about what's plausible.
Okay.
Think about what makes the most sense.
Okay.
Just like you cater to the majority and not the minority. In terms of anything with, you know, when it comes to making money. You know, if you say you open a restaurant, sure, you can cater to the tiny amount of people that like very specific foods, but or you know, you can be like a fast food chain like McDonald's and just reaping the money from all the overweight people in America.
Right.
So you cater to the majority.
Okay.
So always remember to put your opponent on a range of hands. As soon as he calls, bets, does anything, you always have to be thinking about what is this guy doing in this position with this raise amount.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. That was just a bad one, and then I knew I fucked up on that one. And then the very next hand, I also made a mistake according to you, which was so I'm already down 600. I rebuy. I only rebuy for 400 because I brought 1K, which is like 2 buy-ins out with the win. So then I basically I opened king queen off to $20 from under the gun, and then there's one caller to my left, and then it pulls around to the big blind, and he 3-bets to 80, and I flat there, and then flop comes 2, 3, 9, 2 hearts. He c-bets $50, and then I call there as well. Turn comes the 5 of hearts, so there's 3 hearts now, and I have the king of hearts, and then he bets 130, and then I have like 200 something behind since I topped up short, so I tank fold there. I have no idea what he had, and then it turns out this guy like actually was like a really laggy player that was really hard to play against. But I did get him later that session, so yeah, I think, what was your analysis on that hand?
The king queen, you're already out of position against this player, especially if he's, you know, a loose aggressive player. He has position on you, and he knows how to use that position, just like a player like of my caliber.
Right.
I'm going to rob you, or I'm going to actually have a better hand. The raise to 80 is too much.
Okay.
It's 4x your raise. With your hand is mediocre. It's not a top. People say even ace queen is mediocre for a 3-bet, 4-bet type of situation, and you don't even have ace queen. You have king queen unsuited. If you hit a queen, are you good? If you hit a king, are you good? You don't know. You don't even have the position to know.
Right.
His raise is either, you know, most likely an overpair or ace queen himself, all of which dominate you.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
and then calling the flop is like, you're not the one with ace king. It makes sense if you are the one with ace king. If you hit any pair, you have top pair, top kicker. If you hit a pair here, it might even end up costing you the rest of your stack. Because he could be betting that flop with air.
King.
Ace queen. He could be the one with the ace king, ace queen.
Yeah.
You hit the card, and now you
I'm
just
stacked.
lost the rest of your stack for no reason.
Right.
And you have like you don't have any float equity here. You don't have any hand you can credibly represent if the turn comes and you can get him off his hand. You can check raise. It's like what did you say, like a 5 high something?
239.
Yeah, 239. It's so disconnected.
Yeah.
You can't pretend to have anything credible here.
Yeah.
I mean, you can pretend you have pocket nines, but if he, the way he's betting, if his overpair, he's gonna call you. So like, and you're not deep enough to pretend to have that type of hand.
Yeah. And like after I played with him for a few hours, he's the kind of guy that's capable of doing that with 9-10 suited or like something that smashes that flop.
Exactly. Yeah.
In hindsight, because I heard that he was really good at He's really good at milking value post flop, according to other players. So basically the first 2 hands I'm already down like $800. Which is like basically like most of my profits, or a good chunk of my profits from the previous 5 sessions. So the good news about this story is I felt like this table was really good. So I actually just went over the 2 buy-in limit, and then I actually I was in for like 1,600 by the end of the night, and I profited $300 I think. So I came out on top on this session, and I think that kind of led to the mentality of the next session. I was like, okay, it's kind of like a similar situation. In my mind, I already thought this other guy at the win was a fish. So I was like, okay, let me just like let me just try 3 buy-ins to try to like get this guy back. And then that leads to the next hand that was really bad for me. This one's probably even arguably worse than the king's hand, because this is like something that I would commonly do back when I was losing $100 an hour before your coaching sessions, right? So essentially, I had 6-7 of clubs on the button. There's one limper, and then the loose guy that I thought was the fish. I had like C change to go to the left of him actually at this point, which probably, I think if I stayed in the original C, maybe I would have done better. But he opens the $20, so I call, small blind calls, and then there's 3 ways of the flop. So flop is 7 of diamonds, 2 of hearts, 4 of diamonds. So 7, 2, 4, 2 diamonds. So it checks over to me, and then I fire for $40 with top pair, no kicker, basically.
Did the original raiser check to you, or are you leading out into him?
Everyone checked to me, yeah. Original
Okay.
raiser checked as well, the fish guy.
Where's your position?
On the button.
Okay.
So then small blind raises the 100, and this guy just sat down, so I knew nothing about him.
How much did you lead?
40.
40, okay.
So he raises to 100. And I think like at this point, like once I started tilting, for whatever reason, and I think this was just like an entitlement thing where like, I was like sun running, so then I was like getting really cocky. I kind of just felt like everyone was like bluffing at this point.
Before you continue your story, I'm going to tell my prediction.
Yeah.
I'm just folding right there.
Okay.
To a check raise. You have top pair, no kicker.
Yeah.
Into a check raise from a guy in early position that has, that you don't know how he plays.
Yeah.
That's almost always a really massive hand there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, so I was in the mindset, for some reason, I just like didn't believe people. I was like, oh, I think this guy's on a flush draw. I just like, so like, this guy's on a flush draw. It was like in my head, that's what I said. Like, convince myself. So I call, and the other guy gets out of the way. Like the other guy folds, and then I call, so it's heads up.
How many hands did it start off? 2 or 3?
3-handed.
3-handed. Okay.
So now it's heads up. Turns at 8 of spades. Doesn't change too much. He shoves for 200. So the flush draw hadn't got there, so I just like insta call. And I think the river is like an inconsequential, like it paired the board like a 4 or something. But he had already showed that he flopped his set on the turn. So he had pocket 2s.
Didn't I already guess that he already has it? As soon as that check raised from his position, like this dude already has a set. So I wanted to get that out there before you tell me the story.
Yeah.
So it's not like I am telling you after the fact. I'm already telling you, this bro has a set here.
Yeah, so I think this was like one of those situations where if this hand happened before I had that king's hand, I think I would have folded really, like it would have been an easy fold. But because I was already like tilted and then just not playing well, I like was like, oh, I think this guy's on like a flush draw.
Okay, so hand analysis. When you are in a hand, especially when you are losing, you want to put them on the one of the only hands that you can beat. It's you want to win.
Yeah.
Someone who's not involved in the hand, like even when I myself am in the hand, I am not as good as if I'm not in the hand. Now, when I'm not in the hand, I can diagnose and I can almost always put people exactly on what they have. When I'm in the hand, it's the want to win that weakens your resolve and weakens your play. Okay. Except in this case, it was extremely bad because your want to win with top pair, no kicker is a dream, man. It's like, I want to be a movie star when I grow up. Yeah, I want to be a donut, but I don't see how that's going to happen because I'm not sweet enough. Okay, so, because of the fact you're losing, even if he's on a flush draw, let's say he has 10 jack or whatever. He's a favorite to you. He's got 2 overs and a flush draw. That's 15 outs. In the best case scenario that he has a flush draw, which is what you're hoping and dreaming that he has, he's a favorite to you because your pair is so weak. Change the scenario and it's an ace high board and you have an ace with a jack kicker or whatever. Flush draw is down to 37% instead of 55. That is massive because your pair is top of the range. On a 6 high board, your pair is a 6, man. He doesn't even need 2 overs. He needs 1 random over and he's almost flipping with you. But in this case, like I said, due to his, he didn't shove. A common flush draw move is check shove because they want fold equity. He check raise you. He wants you in this pot. And the raise is not even big. It's a sucker raise. Stay in there, sucker. It's 100. That's why I said, oh yeah, I'm immediately folding there. This guy's a monster.
Would you have just like, even on that board texture, just not even bet there? Like,
oh no, you have to find out where you're at.
Okay.
And
so
you did.
So the
you
bet
found
was
out. You found out where you're at. All the bets I do is to find out where I'm at. You found out where you're at. You got check raised. Time to get out.
Okay. Yeah, so that hand happened. So then, I basically doubled that guy up. So that's like $400 down the drain. And then there's like a string of hands where like I would call like a raise with like a jack 4 suited, and then hit a jack, and then some guy would take me to Valley Town with probably with a better jack. And like there's just a string of hands where it's like I should not even be calling pre-flop, and my what's it called, VPIP which just got way too high for 1-3. Like when I was playing well, my VPIP was actually quite low, and I didn't play any hands out of position really, and I wasn't straddling. And then once I tilted, I was straddling under the gun most of the time. Note to self that like most of the straddle hands I end up losing pretty big, so I think like that's not a profitable move, right?
1 second, to get back to the last hand, he didn't need a set, which I already put him on a set.
Okay.
He could credibly have just a medium pocket pair there, like jacks, tens,
and he's still,
which both beats the board and both crushes you.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and it's a very plausible hand for jacks there. You know, a lot of people they're not comfortable raising a medium hand. You know, so he'll limp, and then that's a safe flop. And plus 20 is a pretty big raise. Anyways, jacks should only just call there. You know, unless you know that your opponent is super loose. Jacks is a calling hand for a raise of that magnitude. So that's another, I mean, like I said, the best hand that you were hoping he had is a flush draw, which is already has massive outs against you, either a favorite or almost flipping. But then there's a plethora of different hands that still crush you that don't necessarily have to be the flush draw. I mean, you know, just a 6-high board, any overpair, pocket 8s, pocket 9s, 10s, that whole entire range beats you, which is going to check raise there too.
Yeah. Okay. And I think like I was on, once I started tilting, I was in that mindset of like, oh, maybe the next card can improve my outs, which like technically it did, right? Like it gave me a inside, like a gut shot. But I need to snap out of that, because when I was playing my best, I didn't have that mindset at all. I was just thinking like, okay, I'm not beating anything here, just fold.
And to answer your question about being the straddle is something, if everyone straddles, it's good for the professional, because the professional is in his comfort zone. He's playing, you know, he's okay with playing bigger limits. It gets the regular average Joes to be uncomfortable playing, you know, for larger amounts than they're used to. You know, the raise amounts they're going to be uncomfortable. You can easily bluff them off hands, things of that nature. But you know, on a normal standpoint, is it profitable to straddle every time? Definitely not. It's like, do you want to be a big blind every time? Why would you want to voluntarily put your money in a bad position?
In a bad position, yeah.
Now you're even, you know, you're not just a big blind, you're an even bigger blind. And you're in a bad position. That's not a profitable move by itself. If everyone's doing it, it's great as a professional. You can encourage everyone to, hey, yeah, you guys want to do a couple rounds of straddles? That's okay.
Yeah.
But if you're the only one straddling, it's not profitable.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, to be honest, a huge leak I had also was, like I said, I had already in my mind convinced myself this guy sucked, and I was better than him. And I kind of had this entitlement, which is something I saw online, where sometimes you tilt because of entitlement, like, oh, I deserve to be winning or whatever. So then I kept trying to just call like mediocre hands with him, hoping to flop a monster and like stack him, basically, was what I was really trying to do. But like even that blonde hair guy that you saw, like he would open to 40 knowing that this guy's going to call. And if he calls, I'm like tagging along with like, it was as bad as like 8-10 off. It was like, it was really bad. Like I shouldn't have been in the hand. So yeah, those were just bad leaks. So like calling down marginal hands and then getting into the hand only because that guy was in and me having position on him. So I think that was like an instance where I think the seat change hurt me, since if I was originally I was on the right of the blonde hair guy, and then kind of further away from, like, you know, opposite side of the table is the fishy guy. But then when I moved to the left of him and he's playing every hand limp calling, and then I'm like calling as well with bad hands, that was a big leak. That
is less of a seat change issue. This is the fact that you've admitted you're playing 8-10 offsuit. You're playing, and another thing you're doing is targeting. Targeting is a sign of a tilted player. You're trying to a revenge tactic. You're no longer playing in a comfort zone that you should be playing better, which is the better hand ranges and getting the right pot odds, all the tactics of a professional. You know what I mean? You're calling $40 with 8-10 offsuit with how large of a stack? Like 400, 500? You're putting in 1/10 of your stack, and you're not even set mining. You're putting in a hand that
it's like garbage.
It's complete and utter garbage that I don't even limp with. And you're targeting the guy in the middle, completely discrediting the original raiser that's trapping the both of you.
And he was like one of the better players at the table too.
Oh, the Asian guy with the blonde hair
guy. I would say at that table, like he ended up walking away with the biggest stack. So yeah, he's a pro, right? That guy?
He's a former dealer. I wouldn't consider him a pro.
Oh, he's the deal?
He used to be a dealer, yeah.
Okay.
So I would put him on the range of average to slightly above average.
Okay.
But he's better than, you know,
Most, right?
you vacationers and and current fish.
Including myself.
Yes.
That makes sense then, because he was actually really friendly to me. The fishy guy actually kept slow rolling people. Like,
oh my god.
He would be like the one that's supposed to show first.
Yes.
And then he'd wait till he like wouldn't show, and then I would show, and then he like flips over like a better hand. And then this guy was actually getting kind of pissy. Like, dude, this guy's been slow rolling people all night.
Yeah.
And I think that just added to the tilt factor of me really wanting to get revenge on this guy, because
Revenge mode, yeah.
he kept slow rolling. Then he like made some comment about how you were coaching me earlier, and he was just really got in my head. And I think in general, I just play worse against like Middle Eastern people. Like,
oh my gosh.
I don't know why, dude. Their archetype, like,
is that what he was?
He was Middle. He started speaking Arabic to someone else, or somewhere over there. And the guy that from the first episode that got me with a set of fours, he was Iranian, right? Like for some reason, these guys are really comfortable with like table talk and loose. So yeah, I don't know. I could just be like.
So we found Josh's weakness, guys. He's a racist.
So yeah, okay, and then another hand. This just like sums up how my night is going against this guy. So like, he's under the we're like I think we're short-handed at this point. He's under the gun, opens a 50.
Oh my gosh.
I look down at pocket aces, so I'm like screaming in the inside. Okay, finally I'm gonna fucking get back to even, or like get some money back from this motherfucker. And then I raised the 150. He has like 250 total, I think.
Wait, he has 250. So after he calls 150, he'll only have 100 behind?
Yeah.
Oh.
So he called.
Oh yeah.
And then the flop is like, I don't know the exact hand. I think it was like 3-5-6 or 5-6-7, or sorry, 3-5-6 or 5-6. Let's call it
6, 8, 9.
6, 8, 9.
He has pocket sevens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me about this.
I think it was 5-6-8.
5-6-8.
Yeah,
okay.
5-6-8.
Either way, he's open-ended.
He's open-ended. So yeah, he just like shoves on me, and then I snap call, and then the run out's like 3-9 or something. So they basically like he gets there with a open-ended.
Yeah, he has 10 outs to you there. He's got about 40%. This is just a setup hand. There's nothing you can do there. He's only got 250. He's stuck in 150 of it pre-flop.
Pocket sevens, yeah, that's what.
Yeah, he already stuck in 60% of his stack.
Yeah.
You just got unlucky there. There's nothing you can do about this hand.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, this is one of those hands where I say, he stuck it in bad. You lose. Nothing. No sweat. Nothing off your shoulders.
Yeah.
It's when you play bad that he wins that you should, like, okay, what did I do wrong there? How do I improve myself?
Yeah.
You want every situation to be like this situation, where if he wins, that's because of a mistake he made, not a mistake that you made.
Okay. Cool. And then, I mean, I wasn't too upset about that hand. I was just like, okay, like this kind of just shows how the night's going. And I'll see the final hand where like, he got like a good chunk from me. We're like four-handed at this point. This is like 7 a.m., so this is already at the 6-hour mark. I should have left 2 hours ago. Truth be told, after the pocket kings hand, when I was tilted, I was actually still in the green. And if I left after that hand, I would have made like $30-50, which is a small profit, but it's still a profit. So I opened like ace-3 off from the button because it's like we're short-handed. And then this guy calls. I forget the action exactly. I just know the flop went check, and then I barreled the turn, he calls, and then I barrel the river because there's a 4-liner and I have a straight on the river. It's like 4, 5, 6, 7, and then some blank. And there's also a flush out there, and then he just like jams on me, and he's like, time to go home, right? Like he says that and jams on me. So then
when people say that, that's almost always the nuts or something.
Oh, really?
It is. Did you not know that?
No, I didn't know that. No,
yeah.
no.
Whenever they say that, time to go home, it's already the river. If they say it on the flop, okay, they could have a draw. Yeah. When it's the river, oh my, that is almost always a monster. Why would he go home? There's no cards to go. That doesn't make sense. It's time to pay me off. Here I go.
Well, he said time to go home because he like went all in for a stack, like kind of making it seem like it's like.
But there's no cards to go. Why would he want to? He would just be like, hey, here's.
Yeah.
He could just give you his money after the hand. It doesn't make sense for him to want to go home now and give you the rest of his money. Nobody's going to give a stranger the rest of their money in the middle of the hand. Like, here you go. I got to go home anyways.
Yeah. And he shows like 8-9 offsuit, right? So he has like the mega straight there.
He has the nut straight, and you call them with a 1-card bottom end
I had
straight
the dummy straight, yeah.
on a board that also has a flush.
Because I didn't believe him, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, what do you beat? You beat complete air only.
Yeah. And I will say, like, at least against me, this guy never showed down with complete air, actually.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
It's your dreams of wanting to grow up and be a donut. It's like, it's unrealistic, Josh.
Yeah.
You know, the guy never showed air. You keep hoping, okay, this is the time, this is it, but you lose, you know, waiting for that moment.
Yeah. And I think it's because I saw him get into a few big pots earlier in the session where I'm like, oh my god, that was a terrible call, kind of thing. So,
He's a calling station.
yeah. So yeah, I think like his tendency was he limp called everything, but then he would also flop like random shit, and then like it paid off.
It's a classification of player. Just like myself, I shift between loose aggressive and tight aggressive. He's the calling station. They are prone to calling really bad. You love it when they call bad, but they will rarely bluff.
Yeah.
You got to keep that in mind.
Oh, the calling stations don't bluff normally?
Rarely. That's why they're called the calling station. They call.
Yeah.
They're not pulling moves. They just call. And when they get crazy hands, like a random 3 on a king queen type flop, the guy's got king 3, man. They play with junk. They rarely bluff when they hit. You don't want to pay.
That.
Yeah, you don't want to pay them off when they get there. They're putting their money in bad. Take advantage of it. But when they shove all in or raise you, they will almost always have the goods.
Now that I think about it, every time he went all in, he had like a pretty strong hand.
Exactly.
What's funny is like the earlier hand I said when I got counterfeited with my pocket 2s and bluffed the guy, he was actually someone that was more bluffy, and he was someone that was like trying to make these like fancy lines, like check raise, like all this fancy play syndrome kind of deal, and he was bluffing more than the calling station.
Exactly, because
So,
like I said, the calling station, that's a type of player.
Oh.
Yeah.
What other type of players are common in the 1-3 streets?
You know, the people that are recreational that just want to socialize.
Okay.
They minimize their pots. They'll have big monsters, second nuts, and they'll just check it because they're afraid. What if he's got the nuts?
Yeah.
I just want to play. They're not here to win.
Okay.
You know, the vacationers, they have no idea what they're doing. They're playing king 3 offsuit, you know, and all the other whack stuff I talk about. You know, queen 8, jack 4. Who knows, man? They play all sorts of stuff. The calling station is otherwise known as the Rock. They are very solid. Wait,
the calling station is the Rock?
No, there's a type of calling station that's a Rock.
Oh, okay.
Where they don't bluff at all, but they're also non-believers. You know, but they always have the goods. They're similar in that they don't get out of line.
Right.
And they like to call. They don't raise, you know, they just like to call.
I kind of feel like this guy was getting out of line by raising $50 with pocket
Oh,
sevens.
yeah. This guy's not a Rock. I'm just saying that's another type of call. That's another type of calling station. Yeah.
Low VPIP, right, for the Rock?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, there's you know.
Old Man Coffee's one.
Sure, there's a lot of different type of players, but you learn to identify them, and you have to do it quick.
Okay.
Like you have to also, in the 1-3 you're not going to notice as much, but like I can spot out a pro. You know, you should be able to spot out a pro within the first 20 minutes.
Okay.
You know, identify other players like, hey, wait a minute, he's raising a lot of hands, but he plays completely different post flop. That is not, a crazy loose guy giving you his money. That's an action pro.
Okay.
That's a loose aggressive pro. You know,
like different in terms of like based off the board texture. He's not c-betting 100% of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or he's sometimes you notice he's he's checking back really strong hands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like you have to identify the other types of players. But in the meantime, focus on the basics.
Okay.
You know, a lot of these other maneuvers are saved for advanced play, saved for when you are in the advanced league yourself.
Yeah.
In the meantime, tighten up your range. Your range of hands. 8-10 for 40. That's whack.
Yeah, I was playing like shit. Yeah. After that.
Keep in mind position. Bet sizes. And tilt factor, you have to keep away from your tilt factor because you will play worse, you will chase money, which is exactly what you did.
Yeah.
And targeting, don't target players. Because when you target players, you yourself will play with weaker hands.
Right.
Instead, let it just come naturally.
Okay.
Play your normal range of hands, and you get in a hand with him. Now you're comfortable.
Right,
now you're not trying too hard, like, I'm going to stack this guy. Maybe the next card will do it. Maybe I'm behind, but I'll get there. I just got to stack this guy. When you're in that mentality, you're the one that's giving him the advantage.
Okay.
When you just sit, wait, be comfortable. Maybe today's not your turn. Maybe this fish is not for you to eat today.
Yeah. No, that's super helpful. And then, like, for example, when you say like identify the pro, like let's say yesterday's table with the blonde-haired guy, would he be class like he was the strongest table player on the
I
table?
wouldn't call him
like,
a pro per se, but definitely identify him as
a strong player,
a threat.
A threat. Okay.
Yes,
a threat.
definitely.
Yeah, not a pro. Okay.
Yes, and when he makes it 40, he is targeting that weak guy.
Yeah.
You hopped along and you got, caught.
And I just gave him $40. Yeah.
Yes, like, you got caught in the crossfire. He is targeting because he knows that guy will call disproportionate raises to his stack size.
Right.
And so he's targeting. That means he has a really big hand.
Yeah.
And you're coming along with garbage.
Like garbage. Yeah. Okay. No, that's super helpful. So like, the good news is like, even though now I'm like technically unprofitable this season, since you started coaching me, I'm still profitable. So I didn't eat all my profits, guys.
An important thing that I wanted to bring up is right now you are living, breathing poker. I don't know how healthy that is. It's only been about 5 days since we first started coaching, and you've already played 7 sessions, I think.
Yeah.
That's more than one a day. You need to take a break, especially after a big loss. You need to learn to relax. You need a life outside of poker because relaxation is just like working out. You're in the fitness business. You know that you need rest days, right? Rest days actually improve muscle growth because when you rest is when your muscle actually grows. It's not when you're working out. That's when you're damaging. You're telling your body to grow later. When you rest is when you can analyze the hands you played, analyze your mistakes. If you go right back into another session, the same day or the next day, you haven't had proper time to digest everything that you've, and process. And also, especially after a big beat. This was not a normal, you've been winning 300 a night. You just lost 1,500 in a single night. That's not even that's maximum pain, maximum damage. 3 full gigantic buy-ins. Which you will never see me do. My buy-ins for my game is $1,500, so like a $4,500 loss is like astronomical. I don't even bring that much to the casino, so that is massive. And for me, if I take a massive loss and it's affecting me mentally, I can take up to a week off. I mean, you've got to refresh, enjoy yourself. Come back refreshed. Don't come back thinking, okay, I got to make up for what I lost this last session. If you win 200-300, which is you're happy in a normal night. If you come back today and you win 200-300, you're not going to be happy. I got 1,200 to go.
Well,
do you understand?
I think for me the desire to come back is actually not about chasing that lost money back, but it's more so about like just chasing the right decisions, if that makes sense.
If you have the mindset that's strong enough to do that, then I can encourage you to do that. But if you don't, and most people don't, most people are going to chase the lost money, just like you were chasing lost money during the session itself. You know what I mean?
I mainly wanted to get at that guy, but I think
you were targeting, and
if I start targeting, I should just leave the table or like table change.
Or just get yourself back, whatever you need. It's like getting bashed repeatedly in a boxing match. You only need a quick breather, but if you get hit a few more times, you're knocked out. You need to stop seeing stars spin around your head.
Okay.
So I personally take breaks, but if you don't need to, you don't have to. You know yourself better than I do. Just make sure that when you come back, you're not still chasing those losses. You're not still thinking about the last hands you played. And it's a brand new session, brand new refresh set.
I think this made it very clear. Like, aside from the aces hand, I think every other unprofitable decision was just like it was bad play on my part. And I think from just speaking on the point about like living and breathing poker, I think for me I'm in a unique situation where I start work because I just graduated grad school, so like I start working in November, so I have like kind of 4 months of like time to see if I can become profitable. So for me, I don't want to waste any days, but I also understand it's important if I'm like not in the right mental state to get back out there. I think this is super helpful. I feel like it's weird because when I talk to you about it, it seems actually like it seems like almost like elementary level like knowledge of like what happened. But in the moment, I felt like I was just like getting destroyed last night. But then when I take a step back, talk to you about it, it's like very clear like why I was like losing a lot. That's super helpful for me.
All right, let's cut things here. We're at over 50 minutes already.
Shit. Cool.
All right, this is Josh and this is Aero, and we'll check back in next time, see how you do.
And then, just finished the coaching session with Aero. Gonna go hit the Resorts World 1-3 streets. And for me, I'm just gonna try to really focus on my mental game today. Make sure I just play right, don't target anyone. And then if I feel myself getting tilted or playing poorly, if I make one bad play, I just want to try to walk out instead of like taking that risk today. So stay tuned.
All right, see you guys.